Hi folks, here's a quick look at a P08 1906 model Luger toggle action. Hi there, Cycle Camp here. Today I'm going to show you a firearm I picked up a while back, and it's kind of weird. It's a 30 Luger. It is a P08 style. It is a 1906 model, but it is not, most of the gun is not 1906. Most of it is earlier than that. This is a hodgepodge. This gun was put together all different places. Uh, none of the stuff matches. But it shoots, and so it's a lot of fun. So I had an Irma 22 that was made by DWM, and but I've always wanted a real, Luger, a true toggle lock firearm. While the Irma is a toggle lock firearm, it's not exactly the same because it's only obviously it's 22 caliber. But so this is a very early commercial model 1906. This is not a war, was not used in any war, was not designed as a contract gun or any of that kind of stuff. So we'll take a quick look at it, and where I've got a microscope for still pictures, and where we need them, I'll intersperse them here in the discussion. So anyway, this is a 1906 Luger. It is a toggle action. It is all complete. It probably dates in the 1906 time frame, though a lot of the parts appear to be a little bit earlier. And the way we know that is from the serial numbers for the commercial. The commercial gun serial number started at 1 and went all the way up to like 50 or 60,000 at the end of 1908. But this has the standard features of a 1906, and some of those are that these toggle handles are not scalloped, so they're perfectly flat on either side. There's also no anti-bounce clip in there. Another thing that makes this a 1908 pattern is the fact that 1906 pattern, I mean, is that it has a grip safety, and the grip safety is almost the width of the back strap, so it's a wider grip safety. There's also up here in the top where the ejector is, the ejector is scalloped down and has the wider wings on the two sides. So that also lets you know that it is a 1906 model. And finally, it has the wider trigger. But if you look at uh, the trigger guard, you can see it's been cut down and it's thinner than the width of the frame. So those are all characteristics of a 1906 model firearm. Now this guy has a little bit longer than normal. Well, it's a normal sized barrel for a 30 caliber. It is not a normal sized barrel for a 9 millimeter. 9 millimeter would be a little bit shorter. This is about 4 3/4 inches long, and that is par for the course for a 30 caliber based Luger. Again, it is a toggle action. You can see the toggle mechanism up there. This particular firearm, as the 1906 models do, has a hold open because I have the magazine in place. So as soon as I drop the magazine, which is, hold on a second, because that's a little difficult to do with the gun cocked back already. Give me a second. There we go. Okay. So if we drop the magazine, we can drop the lock, and of course the lock doesn't. It only locks open if you have the magazine in place. Interesting little firearm. They're an awful lot of fun to shoot. Very accurate. Very quite a surprise. A lot of the commercial guns weren't used much. Obviously, they didn't go to war, so they didn't get used a whole hell of a lot. So let's talk about some of the markings. So right on the top here is the DWM logo, and I will insert a close-up picture of that. There are no markings on the front of this. On most normal guns, later on they would stamp the date in here. Also, you would find the last two digits of the serial number would be stamped all over this thing. They'd be on the extractor, they'd be on the side plate, they'd be the trigger pin, the firing pin, the breech block, the safety lever. I'm just all over. This particular gun has very few numbers on it. It does have the frame serial number, which I'll show you a close-up of as well. And there are no letter suffixes here. That didn't happen till later. And here is I'll show you a close-up of this, but there's a serial number here which is not matching, so you know this is a hodgepodge gun, not matching, and there is a proof mark, which is the crown over U on this particular one. Later guns, they would put three of these on here, B, a U, and a G, crown over B, crown over U, crown over G. But this early firearm doesn't have them. There's also the last two digits of the serial number are supposed to be here on the bottom of the takedown lever. Of course, I don't think that matches either. It doesn't match either the barrel or the frame, so I don't know where that came from. And same thing with the side plate. There's a number on the side plate, and I'll show you a close-up of that as well. And again, that one doesn't match. They do seem to come in clusters. It looks like they grabbed, a lot of the action mechanism from the same serial number gun, and I think my what do you call it moved. Here, my guy moved. You don't need to see my stomach. But in any event, and there's supposed to be a mark here on the safety lever and on the grip safety, and there is a mark. Very hard to see. I'll show you a close-up of that as well. But that's basically what makes this as a 1906 pattern is the toggle, the way the grip safety is implemented, the width of the trigger, the cut down trigger guard, and all of that stuff. This is not a 9mm, so here's a 9mm cartridge for comparison. This is a 30 Luger, which is a 7.5mm projectile, and you can see it's got a lot less case to hold powder, and that's why when they sold these guns to the German military, they pretty much insisted that it be a 9mm. They wanted a little more oomph. My understanding is that these are a little zippier, these are a little faster, but obviously it's mass times speed, so it's a lot fewer grains. 115 grains standard for that, and for the let me get the box. For these Luger cartridges, they're only 93 grain, and this is an original, really old box of 30 Luger. You can still find this stuff. I found this at the Wanamaker's what do you call it? The Wanamaker show there in Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I paid $33 for this box, and you can see it's still got one of the original things on there. So I guess it's better than collecting gold. You could invest in old ammunition and sell it for a lot more money. But I really wanted to be able to shoot it, so it was worth it to me to do it. So in any event, that's the firearm. Not much else to tell you about it. It does have the standard Luger magazine. This also is an improvement, by the way. This thumb depression here is actually more pronounced. It's a little higher, and you see how it's built almost like a little hat. It's got a larger section in the middle, and that's because with the newer guns, when they sent them to be evaluated, they said, oh, it's really hard to get this, and it is, because the springs in this are just brutal. To get this down, to get all the last couple rounds in, is really tough. So they made this taller, and they came up with a device that goes over the magazine to allow you to press this down a lot easier. And that became the standard equipment for a lot of these firearms. Now, I only got the firearm. I didn't get any of the accessories or a nice box or any of that stuff, so it's kind of too bad. It does shoot. We have used it. We did have a little trouble with it on the field when we first started because the safety was sloppy, and it would ride. You'd shoot it, and the safety would move. It was not positive, and now I've got it adjusted, and now it is nice and positive. Nice hard lock, and doesn't. It was flopping around pretty badly, but I squared that away. I smit that up a little bit. They shortly after the 1906 pattern, they got rid of the grip safeties, except for a few special requests where they built them for export sale. And as you can see, I don't know if you can tell, but the way this gun works is this is the firing sear lever. And let me get that out of here. When you pull the trigger, it rotates. Take it out of safe first. Nope, that wasn't safe. It's not doing it because it's not. Yeah, there we go. All right. Yeah, you can barely see it moving. Let me bring it up a little closer. But you see how that pulls out to the side? Well, that's what actually fires the gun. When that firing sear, it's not the sear, but it's a sear plate. When that plate moves out, it lifts up on this back plate, and that releases the sear. And one of the dangers of these guns is that you can actually have it loaded and cocked, and you can take the top assembly. You can take this top assembly off, and it is still ready to go. And if somehow you manipulate this and press this, the gun can go off even when it's been disassembled. So they added something later on. They added a safety device, spring-loaded safety device, such that if this side plate was removed, these would lock in place and they would not be able to move. But this does not. This gun does not have that. You can let it rip. So most of the time when you see the newer guns without the rear grip safety, first of all, this will be pointed sort of in the other direction. This fin that sticks up, that's the actual safety device, and all that's doing is stopping this trigger bar from moving out. That's all that does. And so on the regular guns, it would be down, and then when you put the safety on, it would come up. But on this particular gun, the way it works is when you put, it's there, and when you put the safety on, it stops it from being able to come back down again. So it really sort of locks the grip safety in place. And that's basically how that sucker's working. It's a lot of fun. It's a very old gun. This gun is pretty close to over 100 years old, and still in fairly good shape. not horrible. Oh, one other thing I was going to tell you was they have a loaded chamber indicator on this thing. So on this extractor, let me get it in frame here. So when you have the extractor up, when you lift it, you can actually see a word that says, "Hey, I'm loaded," in German. I'll show, and there's a still frame I'll put up now, and you see here is with the extractor down, and then here is with the extractor up. So a cute little gun, definitely not a collectible. From a collector's point of view, it's a shooter's gun. It's a hodgepodge of parts, but at least it's a real Luger made by DWM. And yeah, it's in the original crappy caliber, but at least it's something that I can shoot and say, yep, I have a real German Luger in my collection, toggle lock in my collection, and that's great because that's going to go with my P08. And I don't have, unfortunately, I don't have a broom handle. It's a 96 from Germany, but I do have an Astra 901, which is the Spanish knockoff of the broom handle. So my collection of those three styles is complete. I'm not a big collector as far as things that are really valuable or that. I like collecting actions and different styles of firearms. And so this was just a great addition to my collection. Hope you enjoyed watching this. Have yourselves a great afternoon, and I'll talk to you down the road.